How long have you been at RK, and what's your favorite part about working at RK?
I came to work for RK in mid to late September of 2019, so it's been about 17 months. I think my favorite part of working here is that we have a close-knit group and we interact and talk and work on things very freely and easy, and it's more laid back, but everyone's very driven to get things done, and we all want it to be the best it can be. And sometimes we're very passionate about that. But I think my favorite thing is that we get to interact directly with the brand that we develop under, that, it's unique, that we don't own the brand, but we have this ability to help support a major brand that's an American icon. So that's kind of fun.
How long have you been at RK, and what is your favorite thing about working here?
Well, let's see. It's, this year will be 19 years. Favorite part, I have to say, is the family atmosphere. Doing what I love, which is being creative, doing art. Yeah.
Can you tell me, how you got to work here, and then your favorite part about working here?
Well, that was recommended by you, my screen printing teacher. It took only about 5 minutes for the application process to finish, and all it took was the matter of just driving here and back. My favorite part about this would actually be burning the images on the screen, because, it's a little bit of computer work, which is pretty much a dying thing nowadays, and you actually get to see a bunch of different screens for different colors. I did not know there was that many screens for different colors, but yeah.
So how long have you been working at RK, and what do you do here? And then also, what is your favorite part about working here?
Okay, yeah, I've been at RK Stratman for going on 36 years now. I've worked in just about every department, production, the art room, and now in R&D, so what crosses over now is we get to be the first ones to do the line. So we get to do all the troubleshooting and all those good things before it actually goes to production, which is a really fantastic part of the job. So doing that and making sure that everything, all of those troublesome spots have been taken care of before it gets to production. So trying to anticipate where your problems are going to be is probably one of the biggest things that you have to work through first. Knowing what your garment is, what your substrate is, knowing how many colors you want to put on it, and what the effect is going to be. So making sure that you have everything in line before you get started up, your cure set properly, all the settings are done right, especially in large runs. And one of them 2 offs, not so much a problem, but it really is getting in and trying to figure out what the problems are. So that's really the best part about it.
Where do you, what is your favorite place to pull your inspiration from when starting a project?
Well, the inspiration comes from everywhere, so you're going to look at what's going on in the world. You start with what's current events and things like that, but you also look at aspirational brands that you can take away.
Mm-hmm.
You start really macro, high level. You can even start at the runway level and trickle down, and you get into what we call mass, where there's driving brands and stores. Then how does that fit our brand?
Gotcha. Yeah.
And what was the second part of your question? I lost
Just where you pull your inspiration from, your favorite place.
Well, it's a little different. My approach with working with a very specific brand like Harley.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all over the place. I actually just really like to look at their product and see that we just saw their new line of bikes and what they're putting color into and what they're really valuing, and they're getting into a specific part of the world internationally, and how that would drive what the content of the graphics and
cool.
how
So it's definitely client based.
Yeah.
Cool.
But also we like to look at techniques too, because there could be brands totally different lifestyle and what they encompass in life, but how are they treating prints, techniques, details, renderings, textures, things like that.
Okay, cool. What is your background in design, and what college did you go to? Or
I don't want to give away my age, but I'm from Chicago, Illinois, born and bred, and I went to a school. It's actually expanded. It's called Dominican University, and it was between them and Loyola University, but Loyola only had art, and I also liked design and apparel, so I chose Dominican because they had a really good program for textile science and garment design, so I really was about garment design. I didn't know if I wanted to go down the road of living in New York or not, but I was very fortunate living in Chicago that I was able to find work right away after college.
Mm-hmm.
I started
Where
in
was that at?
Hart, Schaffner and Marks, which was a men's manufacturer downtown Chicago that made very well-made suits. So I edited patterns for custom suits and learned a lot about pattern work then.
Mm-hmm.
Then I moved into the retail side, corporate retail, and worked for a company called Montgomery Ward, which was like Sears' biggest competitor. They were a department store, and you're probably too young because they succumbed. I left before they succumbed, but they went out of business in late 90s.
Gotcha.
Apparel's been going through kind of an evolution for the last 25 years, and each year it kind of, with e-com and everything, it changes. But I went into technical design work, and I built technical design packs where I draw blank garments. I did all the specifications on what they measure, how you make them, the trims, the fabric. I learned a lot there.
Yeah.
And then I ended up moving to a corporate retail of a regional retailer that's much like a Target.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to expound even more, and that was one of the best things I ever did, because that job afforded me a lot of experience and growth, and I was promoted several times, but I moved in from technical to senior level to product management, and that's when I kind of segued from being the person who built the garment. And you work closely with all the surface designers too. They were like my partner in crime. Like, we had to know how the fabric interacted with the print and the design.
Right.
And it was much like a Target. So I had so many brands. I probably had 5 or 6 brands. I did kids, men's, all that stuff, tops, bottoms, knits, wovens, and you really learned a lot.
Yeah.
And it was all over pattern too, not just spot prints. It was plaids, yarn dyes, novelties, all kinds of things. It was really fun. I got to travel overseas a lot,
Cool.
and domestically, and really learned a lot. Approving color, approving test results of things, fits, developing protocols on everything, going to factories, learning about capabilities, and there's stuff you learn in college, but there's a lot of stuff you learn on the job, and just asking questions and being inquisitive about things.
So how is artwork created for a screen print, and can you just tell me a little bit about that process?
Sure. So here, first of all, usually we get some sort of concept of what a customer would like. And then from there, it all starts in the wonky mind of an artist trying to put the pieces together how they think they would like to see it. And then once we get there, we do a lot of research. So quite a bit of research, online research, about the area that we're doing a design for, looking at pictures, to see how those things look. And then from there, it could go several different directions. There is the old-fashioned analog way, which you take pencil to paper and draw something out, and then take it into the computer to digitize it, and then build the file. I myself, I do a little bit of both, except I do it all digitally. I do all my drawing on the tablet. So it's pretty much just like putting pencil to paper, but it's already in the computer, and build my concepts that way. And then so it's a mix of drawing, using photographs, just any reference and resource we can get, and then pulling it together in the computer to build the final design.
And what program do you use on your tablet? What's your favorite tab? What would you recommend if a student wanted to kind of get into this themselves and starting with drawing on a tablet?
Okay, so these particular tablets are basically just another monitor that comes with a pressure sensitive pen you can draw on. It's similar to it's probably a higher end version of like a Microsoft Surface, where you can draw right on the screen there. There are lots of programs that'll do drawing. I predominantly stick to Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop. Go back and forth between the two. That's pretty much what I do. A tablet like this, for a student that's interested is probably going to be a little expensive. Viacom's the top of the line, and it's hard to purchase. There are cheaper versions. I'll just do a quick plug for XP Pen. That is a much more affordable version, and it has many of the same qualities as the Viacom.
Where do you see like the biggest mistakes or mess ups happening throughout the whole screen printing process?
Okay, it's really to focus on different areas of the print. As you're printing through the process, sometimes we tend to not look at all the images to make sure that everything is still in register, that there is not something missing, there's a string or something obstructing the actual print, so everything looks good. So being able to focus on all four corners, look through and make sure that the boards, everything is good and straight, and really taking care of those problems when you start unloading shirts and you're not really paying attention. You can kind of load them. Some people with the left hand or the right hand, they tend to kind of get them a little crooked. So making sure the measurements are just right and kind of focusing on what you're doing as a loading, and then unloading, making sure that you're not missing anything from the print. So making sure you're not running out of ink, all those good things. And some of the problems we do run into when you get to run it real fast and pour all, you're seeing a lot of color, really starts looking bad. So making sure that the print, you're focusing on the quality and making sure everything's right. That's all in the setup. So if your setup's right, everything kind of falls into place.
So if one of our high school students were to apply for a position, what would be the potential position they could have? And like just how they go through that process?
Yeah, so we would ask all of our applicants to go ahead and apply online. We always have a general application in there, and it really helps if they put that they were referred as a Troy Buchanan student. We would just need for them to be at least 17 years old, but there's a lot of different production positions that we can offer them, and maybe even develop them into the more advanced and skilled positions as they advance throughout the company. And I know we've had a lot of people who have, started at entry-level positions and worked their way up even to leadership roles. So it's a really good place to get your foot in the door.
What does the schedule look like if you work here?
Yeah, so that depends what department you're in. I know some people work 5/8, so that means maybe from 7 to 3:30 Monday through Friday, and a lot of people work a 4/10 schedule, which is 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday. So that kind of gives Friday the opportunity for either overtime or to have time off.
Cool.